At any rate, these certificates are all for these folks in appreciation for their work on putting in 3 speed humps on 6th Avenue in West Haven to improve the safety of that area and that little village area on 6th Avenue. And we are so thankful for your donations of service and materials. Jeff helped coordinate it all. Tom made sure it was happening at our end on Public Works. And of course, I'd like to honor Daryl, Steve Finch, but they're out taking care of our roads. And also Granite Construction and also Mercer Fraser for the equipment and materials to get these in. So thank you, gentlemen. Very much appreciate your efforts in this regard.
Good morning, Chair Bone, members of the board. Tom Mattson, Director of Public Works. This may seem like something small, one little community grabbing safety back for their own selves. This is really a lot more than a little speed hump project. This is community driven. It involved the community service district, who had a water line project going on with GR Sundberg at the same time. It included the fire department, Supervisor Madrone trying to lead the way and herd all of us cats together. But most importantly, the patience and perseverance of the citizens of the community in going through our convoluted speed hump policy and making sure it got approved. On our end, it was Tony Yee in our land use division who made sure that everything was approved. It was John Marcial and our sign crew who has dedicated himself to improving safety on the county roads through enhanced striping and signing, and our McKinleyville Road crew who provided some of the flagging. But most of all, it would not have happened without the donations from our contracting community. So again, I want to holler out to GR Sundberg, who was not a part of this, but had a project there that they had to mess around with their locations and where they're working to make this happen. Granite, who seemed to control the weather, because every time they scheduled this, their weather came out with rain, heavy at times, and Mercer Fraser for donating materials. This is not cheap. It's very expensive. The county does not pay for it. And so really the citizens and the contractors, with the county just kind of coordinating things the best we could. So again, thank you, Granite. Thank you, Mercer Fraser. Thank you, the citizens of West Haven.
Give a shout out to Mercer Fraser. Sorry they couldn't be here today. And Granite Construction. These are community-based organizations here that have offices here that are part of the community, live in the community, and work in the community. And our members, 500 strong, work here locally. And we're very much appreciative for the contractors, for the county, being able to help in some way save a little cost to the county. So thank you very much.
Anytime that we can help out, we're more than happy to do so. And we appreciated the opportunity to perform the work and look forward to future projects and giving back.
Great. Thank you so much,
You're
Bo.
welcome.
And as Tom mentioned, community members really had a part in this, including Casey Harmon from West Haven, who started this ball rolling about 4 years ago. Talk about patience. These things don't happen quickly. As well as Antonio Llanos, who is on the West Haven Community Service District Board and worked with Public Works and the contractors to make sure we actually built them in the right location, as well as coordinating outreach with that neighborhood. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
Certificates of appreciation that were passed out were on the consent calendar.
Yes, you're right. Now yeah, please.
All right. I understand that the county has a tight budget. I also understand that you're not allowed to donate money to politicians of the county, but contractors are allowed to supply donated materials in any degree in order to secure the bid for the project. As in, I'm sure Mercer Fraser made a bunch of money giving you guys that rock. I just want everyone here to know that Mercer Fraser used their quarry at 472 Quarry Road to stage the rock they took out and to put more rock in. That quarry hasn't had a permit to operate since 2006. This board passed an ordinance codifying the California Surface Mines and Reclamation Act. I submitted all this to you guys through the clerk of the board, along with the inspections that clearly state
this will also be taken. This will be on items not on consent. Just because their name was mentioned doesn't mean you can bring everything up.
All right,
you'll be able to speak in a second.
Cool, but
okay.
just know that
cool.
I don't I wanted to voice some opposition about
And you're gonna have
giving
it-
certificates of appreciation to people that don't follow your laws and break all these rules.
All right.
And especially since Steve was thanked for taking care of the waterways, I want to point out that no stormwater discharge permits were gotten, and it rained like heck on that material, and that creek was flooded with mud and debris. And
All right, thank you.
thank you. I'll be back
Thank
for
you.
non-public.
Perfect,
whatever.
we'll be here.
Hi, my name is Claire Tara. This is my son Darren, my daughter Amalia. I understand that you all have a lot on your agenda, and we're not here to, unnecessarily take up your time. However, it really was very difficult for me to read that an agenda item was a certificate of appreciation to a company that's not only in compliance and is not only disregarding, the environmental impact of their work, which, they're a private corporation. Holding a private corporation accountable for that is a difficult process. However, as our elected officials, to then pat those people on the back and say, hey, thanks, it really, as a citizen, as someone, I consider myself a water protector and a caregiver for Parker Creek, which they are polluting regularly. And the air quality is impacting my family. The asbestos parts per millions, which is recorded and in the documents that you guys have received, has impacted my children and our respiratory health. And so that's why I'm here today, just to put a human face to this. This isn't, I understand that you guys have a lot of work and a lot of different things going on, and I know that everyone's really trying to do their best in good faith. So that's why I'm here to say, hey, we're not okay over there on Quarry Road. The situation is not okay over there. The waterways are impacted. The plants, the animals, and the people are all being impacted. And I look forward to this being on the agenda at another moment where we can go further into the paperwork documenting the disregard, documenting the unpermitted status, documenting the impact on the waterways and on the air quality. It's all there. And so I thank you all for your patience and for your ears, and I really look forward to continuing this conversation where we as a county can, uphold the values that I know that we all stand for, which is to protect not only our environment and not only our waterways, but also our people and also our future citizens. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. No.
Hi. I'm a resident and in the neighborhood right next door to where the Mercer Fraser quarry operates. And as to agenda item 1, I think it's very sad that this board awarded them a certificate of appreciation for the West Haven Community Safety Project, because it is clear that they do not care about the safety of the community in the West Haven area. That is, just for an example, I had to call the North Coast Air Quality Board for about a week as they just started operating illegally in April on a regular basis. And only after about a week did they actually start wetting the ground in their piles, which are asbestos analogs and asbestos-based. It was a direct violation of their SMARA code, or of the code, the SMARA code that they are supposed to follow. So, I think this is all very telling, and I'm quite disappointed.
Next.
Yeah, my name is Heather Pierce, and I'm also very disappointed in the certificate given to Mercer Fraser in appreciation for their donation. I also live nearby. I have pictures of when they allowed the cell tower to go up. That's fine. I have pictures of how they also allowed them to wash the paint in what used to be Potato Rock is now Potato Lake. I have pictures of when they allowed their equipment to be washed in that lake, of film on the top of the lake, film all over the top of the lake, the color of the cell tower right near the water with the rocks. They clearly washed their stuff in the lake, which feeds my well. The aquifer goes straight down to what we're supposed to be drinking. So I'm very disappointed in this board to giving them appreciation.
Thank you.
Hi, I also live near the quarry. I just want to say that in California, we do believe in regulation, and we do really believe most of the people really want to support a healthy environment. And, you know, I just adore our children, and everything in life is for them, actually. And to think that someone is allowed to actually buck regulations and operate illegally right in our very neighborhood is like tremendously disappointing. And I think we should get it together. And because, you know, we have our values. This is like the old stories, you know, profits and money above the health of the children. Anyway, so that's all I want to say.
Have been in here speaking with people in the county board. I know that this has turned into a like, I don't know, an issue over the last couple of months, and I do think, from what it seems like to me, that going out of your way to acknowledge and appreciate a company like Mercer Fraser that's actively doing harm in the community at large is a calculated and intentional move on the part of the supervisors. Thank you.
A lot of commenters wanted to speak about the certificates of appreciation, and I know sometimes it's hard to separate things, but when somebody does a good action, I believe they deserve recognition for that. It was a very important thing for the community. It doesn't mean there aren't issues at the quarry. I think we all know there are. But those among us that are free from fault can throw the first stone, right? I mean, bottom line is that we all have stuff we need to do to kind of clean up our acts. And there's certainly lots of issues going on in the quarry area, but not just on the quarry property. I would love it if we could focus on taking care of the things that are within our own ability to change and make better. And I won't go into all the details on all that because that's really a whole separate item that's not on the consent agenda. But it is not that I don't recognize that there are issues with the quarry. And we are working on that. The county is going to be engaging with Mercer Fraser in regards to things that need to be taken care of. So I think it's just really important to try and understand that just because I might do something really wrong in one case, if I do something really well, isn't it okay to provide recognition for that? And that's simply what I was doing. These speed hump projects do not happen without the donation of these things that were provided. So I just wanted to try and ask that people try to understand the differences and focus on those parts of things we can do within our own realm to clean up, take care of, and move forward on, because we all have stuff we need to take care of. Thank you.
Hi, guys. So I've tried to complain to code enforcement about the quarry issues. I've called Steve Madrone about them. He's had a lot of back and forth about how he knows they're out of compliance. I know they're out of compliance. I got public information requests that show they're out of compliance. I gave them to you guys. You guys all have them now. You can look at those reports. Every single report they've had for the last 10 years says that their permit status is that they have a certified use permit that was granted in 1991 that expired in 2006. Sure, they're operating on that permit. You look at that permit, is there a creek? No waterway. It checks right there on the environmental impact report. So you're telling me the permit they're operating on right now doesn't take into effect the creek that flows through their site. Interesting. The enforcement of the Humboldt County surface mining ordinance. There's 3 avenues of enforcement. That's the problem here, because you guys have the law. The law is written, the law is clear, but 100% of the law comes down to enforcement. If there's no enforcement, there is no law. If there's no law, they can do whatever they want. Blow up dynamite in the rainy season, who cares? Let you guys know or planning know when they're gonna blow up dynamite? Don't have to, they do it all the time. There's 3 avenues of enforcement in the ordinance that was passed by this board. Avenue 1, the planning director, John Ford, the one man who can actually review it. I've been to building and planning. I went to building and planning, got the senior planner in charge of surface mines and reclamation. I brought him the ordinance. I asked him to interpret the code for me. This public servant would not interpret the code. He'd get to the point where he'd get to say how they're operating on what means they're operating, and he'd say he would refuse to answer that on the record. I have this all recorded. He says they're in a gray zone. If you look at your ordinance, if you look at SMARA, there's no mention of this gray zone. They're living in an illegal limbo that they're being permitted to by the building and planning director. All right, second avenue of enforcement is U5 right here. The Board of Supervisors can enforce the ordinance, all right? In order to have a surface mine, even if they're not using it, they need a permit that says when they're gonna start using it. They need a permit that says when they stopped using it. This is all, it's all written down. I sent you guys the ordinances. There's fines of up to $5,000 a day, just like, oh, everybody who else who's abated in this county knows about. And you know what? They don't use that because the only avenues of enforcement are John Ford, who refuses to do his job, this Board of Supervisors, which is just going to nod off and just ignore this, and the courts.
Thank you. Next, somebody.
Hello, my name is Heather Pierce, and this is actually pretty much just in response to Supervisor Madrone saying that we are all responsible for cleaning up, and that is true. We all do have things to clean up. However, you know, in Spider-Man it is said that with great power comes great responsibility. I personally have the power to not purchase dump stuff, try not to purchase garbage. I have the power to recycle. I have the power to try to live peacefully on the land. I do not have the power to stop a large corporation from dumping their stuff into their water, to polluting the water. I don't have the power to make them clean up the air or quit polluting our air. You guys have the power for that. And I just want to make that very clear. You guys have the power for that. I do not have that power. I am trying to live peacefully on the land as much as I can.
I want to say that we at Yeehaw really are doing a lot and our best. We're doing our sincere best. So but also in my own personal life, I have the responsibility, but also I have a responsibility as a citizen, and my responsibility as a citizen to help care for my neighborhood involves complaining now about those who are polluting it. So I just wanted to make that clear, first of all. Secondly, I hope you're all doing your best. I hope you're all doing your sincere best. I want you to know I fell in love with Humboldt in the 70s, and I've been coming here since, sometimes living here, sometimes not. But there's been rumors all along that there's actual corruption here, and other counties view us as being somewhat actually corrupt, which is like really horrible. There's a bright line between public service and self-serving, a bright red line that every public servant actually knows. I want to tell you, in the late 60s, there were a whole bunch of us who were convinced that the New Age was about to begin, that everyone could simply love one another and make and do their best and make life better. And the reason we were convinced of that is because it's obvious. And it's just, if you're listening to your higher self, you know that what you can do is to make life better for everyone, including yourself, by being a loving person. So anyway, so I just hope and pray that you're all doing your best, and that's all I can ask for.
I'd just like to say one more thing about the Mercer Fraser Quarry in Trinidad. Just in case people are unaware, it is the site of a sacred Yurok location, Potato Rock, that is now a pit in the ground. It is, if anything here, a symbol of our attitude towards the indigenous and the genocide that allowed for the industrialization and colonization and settlement of this county. And how we deal with that is going to speak volumes. And yes, our eyes are on you, Mr. Madrone. Thank you.
Hi. So in regards to the land, you know, which as all of us are stewards, one thing I want to point out to the supervisors and to everyone listening is that Mercer Fraser is one of the oldest corporations in California, that they have been directly involved in seizing lands, in exterminating, genociding indigenous peoples, and the genocide that continues to go on in the watershed for the plants and the animals and the people who have to drink that water. This isn't history. This is an ongoing desecration of land, of Parker Creek, which empties into the Trinidad Bay. which was the site of, which was the site and continues to be a revered site. We all are familiar with Trinidad Bay and how precious that ecosystem is and how fragile it is when we dump upstream. Another thing I would like to point out on this subject is that California is one of the few states in the country that does not have state oversight on mining reclamation. So what that means for us as citizens is that we are completely dependent on the county's enforcement if there's any untoward or unpermitted activities. There is no state oversight. We've been in touch with the state water boards. We've been in touch with the state air quality and SMARNA and the Division of Mine Reclamation. It's written into California's Constitution that there is nothing that the state can do to impact what the county's doing in regards to mining. So that is a huge responsibility on us citizens, certainly, and it is a huge trust of faith in the five of you. And I know there's a lot of goodwill here, and I know that you are all chosen this career because you want to serve. And so I just want that to be known, that there is no recourse for a concerned citizen other than going to you. Of course, other than civil suit, which we as, Friends of Parker Creek would like to avoid. I understand the county is in deficit. I understand there are some serious issues that need work, and that, I would love to not have to put another expensive, difficult process, here before the county and before our system. So just know that this is our only recourse, is to speak with the five of you or civil suit. And hopefully perhaps the goodwill of Mercer Fraser, of Justin Zabel, I don't know, maybe. Because, the fact is that rock has been completely decimated and all that's left is the rubble. And it's clear to me they're just trying to squeeze the last couple $1 million out of it before they, move on with their extraction elsewhere. But yeah, it's not going to be, we're not going to be silent about this. I don't want to unnecessarily take up your time every week about this, but we're going to keep coming back until there's, active steps towards protecting the watershed and honoring the land. So thank you very much.
Your minds, imagine all of that energy here protesting a local issue rather than one that's half a world away, like logging that's happening on land where it shouldn't be, or ancestral native indigenous sites being desecrated in the name of industry and economy. It's coming. It's here. The young people are paying attention, and just because their focus is miles and miles away right now doesn't mean it's not going to be here at this courthouse in the foreseeable future.
I mainly today want to call in and support the commenters about the environmental disaster at the Mercer Fraser Rock Quarry in Trinidad and the impacts to all the community, the ocean, our water source. And I don't think it's a coincidence. It's one of the most polluted beaches in the state. I've witnessed the Mercer Fraser site in Trinidad up close, and it's, contaminated the water, land, and air in ways that really raise a lot of questions for me, because they've been allowed to operate, it seems, above the law for such a long time. And I'm a reporter and a legal aid for cannabis folks, and I've worked in the abatement realm for some time, and for 8 years or so. And the way that the rock quarry is operating versus a small scale farmer, and the way that they're treated, is, the comparison is stark. And I'd like to understand better the double standard here for why, this rock quarry can go ahead and destroy a streamside. They're in a streamside management area. There's water all over the property. They've blown up mountains that are sacred. I know permitted farmers that didn't get approved eventually because of tribes' lack of consent on their project. And so I wonder if the tribes have been consulted about the rock quarry. I'd like to hear what they have to say. I'd like to understand why there's such different treatment for people growing plants versus people blowing up mountains and contaminating the air and water that we're all breathing and drinking. And thank you so much for your time today, and again for taking my comments. Sorry about the technological glitches there earlier. I appreciate all the comments. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.